Hey friends! I read 6 books in the month of April. Really good for me. I never read that many. So let's go through a quick little wrap up of all the books I read in April. I've got my Storygraph pulled up in front of me, so if you see me tapping away, it's because you're sitting on my keyboard. I don't have a physical copy of the book to show you because I read pretty much everything on my Kindle this month. Actually, I think I got almost all of these from the library, so shout out your local public library. I use the Libby app. Libby is a godsend. I love the Libby app. Love Libby. If you don't have it, you should download it. It's the best. The first one I have on this list is The Bromance Book Club by Lyssa Kay Adams. So at the beginning of this book, you meet Gavin Scott, who is a professional baseball player. He's been married to his wife Thea. I think it's Thea. They've been married for a few years, and they have a moment where she admits to him that she's never had the big O. She's been faking it this whole time. She's not being malicious when she tells him this information, but obviously he doesn't take it very well, and she tells him that she wants a divorce. Gavin is filled with regret, he's embarrassed, he's frustrated, he tells his friends, and they form the Bromance Book Club. In the Bromance Book Club, they read Regency romance novels, and they learn how Gavin can get his wife back. This book is both heartfelt and hilarious, which I feel like that's kind of hard to balance, but I was crying, kicking, and giggling. This was a 5 out of 5 stars for me. And as somebody who's married, it was still super relatable. I think anybody that's been in any kind of long-term relationship can probably relate with a lot of the struggles that Thea and Gavin go through. I was super invested in this. The last, 40 pages, I was like, oh my god, is this going to work out? Are they going to get together at the end? Okay, the next book that I have on my list was Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. And this was the first ever Abby Jimenez book I've read. I don't know how. Loved this book. I rated it 4 stars when I read it, but honestly, I think I would go back and I'd change it to a 5-star now. This book, I think it's honestly tied for cutest book I read this month. This one's dual POV and it follows these 2 ER doctors. So first we have Brianna Ortiz. In the beginning of the book, she's finalizing her divorce and her brother's running out of time for a kidney donor. She's also trying to get a promotion at her job, but when she approaches her boss about it, he admits to her that they're gonna postpone the promotion picking process, I guess, the election that they're doing on the board, until the new doctor that comes into the ER can get acclimated to everything so that everyone can get to know him before they vote. So she is not a fan of the other doctor in the beginning of this book. The other doctor is Jacob. Jacob is moving hospitals after breaking up with his long-term girlfriend, I think it is, after she becomes engaged to his brother. Jacob needs a +1 for his brother and ex-girlfriend's wedding, and so Brianna agrees to fake date him until the wedding. They're both going through it. He writes her an apology letter, she writes a letter back that begins this adorable banter between the 2 of them. I was literally kicking my feet and giggling. I was so obsessed with them together. I felt like they had such good chemistry, and it took a while for them to warm up to each other, which I really appreciated. I feel like a lot of the time in romance novels, the characters are just immediately in love with each other, and I just can't do that. I need there to be some warm up time, and they're friends before they enter a relationship. I could not recommend this book enough. I read that book and I was obsessed with it, so I was like, I need to read another Abby Jimenez book. And then I found Worst Wingman Ever on KU. This one's a novella. I think it's 60 pages long, not long at all. I read it in one sitting. Holly is a hospice nurse who's coming to visit her grandma, who's in the end stages of her life. On Valentine's Day, Holly is leaving her grandmother's apartment when she finds a Valentine's Day note on her windshield. It's important to note, Holly is not dating anyone. This is obviously a mistake, and so the 2 characters begin writing anonymous letters back and forth to each other. And then in the end of the novella, they end up meeting in person. And, it's cute. It's a cute little story. This was a 3-star for me. I felt like it was fairly forgettable. 2 months from now, I don't think I'll even remember that I read it. But it was cute. Okay, the next 2 I have on my list were Heartstopper Volumes 1 and 2. I have had Heartstopper recommended to me so many times. And then finally, one of my mutuals posted about it, and I was like, that's it. I gotta read it. I'm done. Side note, I had no idea that you could read graphic novels on Kindle. I had seen somebody post about how with the new color Kindles that are being announced, it was going to be easier to read web novels. And then I realized, hey, I could probably read a graphic novel on my Kindle. So if you didn't know, you can. I read Volume 1 in one sitting, loved it. Immediately went in the Libby app and put Volume 2 on hold, and then read it in one sitting 3 days later. This series follows these 2 boys going through high school that begin as friends and then slowly develop into more than friends. Super cute. I love the illustration style of this book. I love the pacing. I like to use romance as a breather between the bigger fantasy books that I read, although this month was clearly a lot of romance. If you need a breather, or really just you don't know what you want to read next in general, I would highly recommend reading Heartstopper. So cute, super quick to read. Those were both 3 stars for me. And then this month I also finished A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross, which is the sequel to A River Endless. In the beginning of the book, I did consider DNFing it a few times. I felt like they were trying to really force you to care about these characters, and I was having a hard time. But I'm so glad I didn't DNF it. This was, honestly, I think the cutest thing I read this month. If not, I think it's definitely tied with yours truly. So adorable. I love the way that Jack and Adara's relationship kind of blossomed in this book. By 60%, I was hooked. There was nothing that was going to prevent me from putting this book down. I read this in 2 days. First day, I think I read up until like 35% of the way through the book, and I really was not sure if I was going to finish it. No. Next day, I picked it up by 60%. I was like, I'm finishing this today. And then I did. I spent like the rest of the day trying to get it done. And I would like to let it be known that I have an 8-month-old, and it's hard to do that. So I was committed. So cute. I did feel like the ending kind of dragged on a little bit. I don't think it needed to be as long as it was. There were no loose ends. So yeah, that's all I finished this month. I'm in the middle of a couple books right now, but I honestly don't think I'd be able to finish them. There's like 2 days left till the end of the month. If I finish any others that I haven't written, I will put them in the comments. Or they'll just go in my reading wrap up next month. Hi. Okay, I need to go. Thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day.